Eddie Virgil, you are muted.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good day to all. This is Distinguished Toastmaster Virgil Garcia, the current Area Director for Division G, Area 1. As the host of this seminar or webinar, I now call this webinar to order. Now let's pause for a while for our invocation. May I call on Toastmaster Jesse Bestre, immediate past area director for G1. Toastmaster Jesse.
Thank you so much, our area directors, distinguished Toastmaster Virgil Garcia. So let us put our presence in God so that we could open this with a prayer. Let's pray. Thank you, Father, for this beautiful and wonderful opportunity that you have given us. Being members of Toastmasters, we are grateful for this time, this opportunity for us to have this training on how to evaluate a speech. Open our hearts and minds as we learn from our trainers, distinguished Toastmasters Gina, Mapua, and Beng, Garcia. Father, please guide us all throughout this session, and may the things we do be in accordance to your will. Thank you once again for your love, Father, and we pray this in Jesus' name, amen. Back to you, distinguished Toastmaster Virgil.
Amen. Thank you. Immediate past area director, Jesse Bestre. For all Toastmasters, kindly raise your right hand, or you can use the reaction button in raising your right hand. And we will be led by distinguished Toastmaster Mercy Mecos. Distinguished Toastmaster Mercy,
yes,
the floor is yours.
So let's raise our right hand as we recite the Toastmasters promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, to act within Toastmasters' core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Mercy Mecos. Now we'll hear the welcome remarks of our Division G Program Quality Director, Mark Wilson Edrada.
Have you experienced this scenario? Hi, Mr. President of ABC Toastmasters Club. I want to visit your club. When is your next meeting?
Whoa! We will meet this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. Could you be our speech evaluator?
Have you experienced that kind of scenario wherein you just wanted to visit a Toastmasters Club, but lo and behold, you were given a role of becoming a speech evaluator? And you have no other choice but to say, yes! But deep inside your innermost sanctum, you just wanted to say, uh-oh, I want to be there just to observe. Fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you are a Toastmaster. And whenever you do club hopping, you're expected to be given a role as an evaluator. I have been a Toastmaster for 9 years. And for those 9 years, I have evaluated many speeches, including those of the distinguished Toastmasters, the past international directors, and the district leaders. And who told you that evaluating the speeches of the distinguished Toastmasters, of the past international directors, and of the district leaders are intimidating? Huh? Yes, it is. It is intimidating. As if you are sweating blood. Plus the fact that you, as a speech evaluator, are being evaluated by the general evaluator. But still, you need to maintain your composure. This is what this webinar is for you to learn how to effectively evaluate a speech, whoever the speaker is. We are fortunate to have been joined by distinguished Toastmasters Gina, Mapua, and Beng, Garcia for this momentous training on how to effectively evaluate a speech, facilitated by Area G1, led by Area Director and Distinguished Toastmaster Virgil Garcia. I am now looking at our dear facilitators. You, Distinguished Toastmasters Gina and Beng, I know that you are conniving to evaluate these welcome remarks. And of course you, fellow Toastmasters, since Distinguished Toastmasters Beng and Gina are now evaluating this speech, I'm giving you a simple exercise. Evaluate these welcome remarks by scanning this QR code, look at this video, and comment down below.
Thank you, Mark Wilson Edrada, for your interesting welcome remarks. Yes, the call to evaluate him. Just scan the QR code. If you miss it, we will request our Zoom master to copy and paste it in our chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready? Are you all ready to rumble, as distinguished Toastmaster Gina mentioned a while ago? If yes, click on the reaction button. Give me a thumbs up, a heart, or a clap. I know this is an unholy hour for everyone. And to make us lively and attentive throughout the duration of our training, let us put our hands together and welcome our game master, immediate past area director, Jesse Bestre. Let's give him a warm applause.
I love the energy, distinguished Toastmaster Virgil, and indeed, that's an unholy hour. So let's try to wake up ourselves and energize ourselves. So I would encourage everyone to maybe turn on your camera for a few minutes, around 5 to 7 minutes, for some stretching and shaking exercise. So can you turn it on, please, fellow Toastmasters and friends? We want to see all your lovely and beautiful faces. See, awesome. I'm seeing people turning on their cameras. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon once again. Okay, let's begin then with some stretching exercises. Beginning with our head first, so you could follow after me. You can follow after me this, the head. Okay, let's count 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's turn it clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now our shoulders. Try to move it forward. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And some stretching. Left over right. Okay, left over right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stretch forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Shake, shake, shake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more. Breathe in. Breathe out. And one long breathe in. And then, sleepy now. I'm just sleepy now. All right. Now that we're done with those quick stretching and shaking exercises, we'll have a quick mental exercise. And we will be doing rebus puzzles. What is rebus puzzles? These are also known as word picture puzzles or picture riddles. And these are images that often convey a phrase or a message, typically an idiom or expression. To help you solve the problem, make sure to look at the word placement, the size, the color, and the quantity. So to answer, just type in the chat box. So let's see who can quickly answer all of the puzzles with the time that we have. I think we still have about 4 minutes to do that. So let me just share my screen and get ready for the rebus puzzles. So I hope that my screen is visible. Can I see a thumbs up? Awesome, here we go. For the first one, what is this? Type in the chat box for your answer. What does this mean? We all need this. Most of us need this. Okay, I see some answers from Nelson. Amazing. Coffee break. Great. The answer is coffee break. Next one. Split personality from Joseph. Congratulations. Wow. Amazing. Next. What is this? Foresight. Foresight.
It's
The
for
answer
you,
is
Toastmaster Jessie. Love at first sight.
Love at first sight. Okay. From who the Toastmaster Nelson. Next one. What could this be? 24. 24, 24, 24, 24. Okay, I see 24/7. Let's see. All right, 24/7 is the answer. Next one. How about this? Gun. Come on, Junior.
Gangnam Style.
Okay. Is it difficult? 5, 4.
Son of a gun.
Son of a gun? Okay, let's see. Awesome. Congratulations, Toastmaster Rose. Next. Let's see. Order. 5, 4. Okay. Toastmaster Victor. A tall order. Awesome. 2 minutes left. How about this?
3D movie.
3D movie, and the answer is correct. 3D movie. Next one.
Broken promise.
Broken promise.
Broken promise indeed.
Broken promise.
How about this?
Read between the lines.
Awesome. Next.
Flashlight.
I hear flashlight.
Hands of light.
Light fingered.
Give the green light. I'm not so familiar with this one. Okay. Give the green light. I think our timers are familiar with it. Next.
Invaders.
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 Invaders. Okay. Let's see. Space Invaders. Space Invaders. Okay, we have 1 minute left. What's this?
Potluck.
Potluck. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Potato. Let's see. Potatoes. All right. Amazing. And next.
Long overdue.
Long overdue. Love overdue, said Toastmaster Nelson. It's long overdue. How about this?
High five.
High five. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Give me 5.
It's hand me down. Okay. How about this one?
Balanced diet.
Balanced diet.
Balanced diet.
Diet.
I don't know that.
You have 30 seconds left.
Century.
Century.
Mid-century.
Long time. No see. Long time. No
Grabe.
see. And the last one.
Weird na yan.
How's this?
Emotion.
Mixed emotions.
Emotions. Awesome. Okay. Our time is up, and I hope that we are energized with those mental exercise and that we are ready for the training. Thank you so much for your participation. I love the energy, and I hope that we can keep that up. Turning it now over to our area director of G1, distinguished Toastmaster Virgil Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you. Immediate past area director Jesse. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Now I know that you are
raring to go and participate in this webinar. Moving forward, our speaker, there you can see the beautiful lady over there. I met this beautiful lady way back, I can't remember, but it was in Palawan. Yes, with my wife. Then, after attending the district conference, we rode the van together. History. She is very young in Toastmasters. She just celebrated 25 years in Toastmasters. Member of 2 clubs, the Executive Toastmasters Club and the first Farmers Toastmasters Club. Our opponent in the just concluded amazing race.
One of our sharpest.
One of the sharpest table topics speakers. She is our 2001 evaluation champion. Served the district in 2007 and 2008 as district governor. And now, without much fanfare, let us put our heads together to distinguished Toastmaster Gina Santillan Mapua.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My family name is not Santillan. It's Huilantini. That's not a problem. I know it's not easy to spell. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the afternoon session of Division G on how to evaluate. Now, while we entitled this session, How to Evaluate, I really have come to the realization that I cannot make you evaluate. My mentor, who is still mentoring me up to this day, is Tommy Lim, although he's no longer a member. My evaluation mentor tells me that to evaluate or think critically, there are 6 things that must be present. This was the latest that he came up with. And he said that it requires, number 1, intellect, the ability to think. And I think that you are all able to do that. It requires training. So your appearance here today can be included as that. It also requires some knowledge. And this is what you can acquire, as you will find out later, especially in my first point in the session. It requires practice. So that is afforded by your attendance in Toastmasters. And then the next 2 is what cannot be done for you. It has to come from you. And that is choice. You choose to think. You choose to evaluate. You choose to analyze and intellectualize what you're listening to. And number 6, you make the effort to do that. By your being here, I see that you commit to work at being an evaluator, a good evaluator. So let's begin. May we have the slides already? And let's get started. You know, I've been evaluating since the very beginning. And what I find is that as I go through my experience in Toastmasters, my understanding of evaluation gets deeper and deeper. And I realize more things as time passes. And that is because it's a constant effort, it's a constant choice to actually develop your evaluation skills. So today, what we're going to be doing is to show you how you can become a better evaluator. I cannot make you a better evaluator. I will show you how you can make yourself a better evaluator. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. The very first point is good evaluators. Next slide, please. Good evaluators deliver speeches. Because the point here is that if you do not know how to organize a speech, you do not know what a transition statement is, you don't know what an ideal opening statement for speech is, you do not know what makes a great conclusion in a speech, how can you possibly evaluate somebody and advise them on how to do that? So you deliver speeches in order to develop your speaking skills. And the next slide shows a quotation by, let me just continue as Beng is struggling with showing the slides. The next slide is none other than Lance Miller, who said, if you want to become a better speaker, become a better evaluator. I say it's the other way around. If you want to become a better evaluator, become a better speaker. You cannot have one or the other. Both have to happen. Okay, let's go to the next slide, and I shall just continue while there's a bit of a struggle here with the format. Yeah, okay. The next one is, I want to ask you, and let's do this by chat. What was the effect of a good evaluation on you? Yes, Nelson says being both evaluator and speaker. You cannot have one or the other. You cannot just be a good speaker. And in particular, you cannot be a good evaluator if you're not a good speaker. Let's go to the chat and answer this question. Discuss. What was the effect of a good evaluation? When you received a really good evaluation, how did it make you feel? Let's hear your answers in the chat. Okay, Angeles says become self-aware. Know more, a little bit more about you. Miggy is inspired to do a better speech, learned compelling insights. Yes, Nelson is encouraged me to keep giving speeches. It gave me something I should look into. Yes, gave an aspect of it. Yes. Rose says like a light bulb moment. Oh my God, I'm slow. A validation of my effort, and as a bonus, my points of improvement. So Angelo. Armel, I am improving. Okay. Motivated to try his ideas, Cindy says. Gianna says, good evaluation encourages the speaker to enhance the public speaking skills, boost confidence to deliver more good speech, inspire to learn more, confident. Yes, perfect. Yes, well done. Let's go to the next slide. Yes, good evaluations should achieve 4 things. Okay, effective evaluation should achieve 4 things. 1, inspire the speaker to work, to keep working towards newer heights. Next slide. It also, my dog is, next slide, should give the speaker specific information that can be used constructively. Okay, it should be specific, okay? Not just malabo things like improve your vocal variety. It should be very specific, such as pause, slow down, give emphasis. Next slide. And something that can be used by this particular speaker, right? And third effect of a good evaluation is to encourage to seek additional input and evaluation. So the speaker is motivated to continue in development and to continue to work and expand their knowledge further. And last effect of a good evaluation is to maintain the respect and build your relationship based on trust. So when a good evaluator gives you a wonderful evaluation, you feel good not only about yourself, but you feel good about the speaker and you trust the evaluator's input. Okay, so the second point really about good evaluations, next slide, is that good evaluators understand their responsibility as an evaluator, and that is to help your fellow Toastmaster move forward, strive to achieve even more. Okay, so good evaluators know their responsibility and strive to make sure that they deliver what is required of them. Next slide. So that's the second point about good evaluators. Next slide. Good evaluators study evaluation. You don't depend on what you can pick up from the meetings. You don't depend simply on what little you can pick up from the manuals, the project in Pathways. In particular, I find that the second project in Pathways is incredibly meager, the information there about how to become a good evaluator, right? Imagine brand new, many of you are not brand new. So imagine a brand new Toastmaster being asked to evaluate as possibly the 4th speech ever in their careers. How do they do that? You look for information. And here are some good sites for information. Let me show you what I found when I just Googled Toastmasters evaluation, and I came up with some excellent websites. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Of course, Toastmasters.org. Look for their material, but I find that their material is quite general and not so specific and sort of feel good most of the time. However, I found great stuff from franticallyspeaking.com. In particular, I love the material of 6 minutes.dlugan, okay, .com. Saros Corner is also pretty good. Toastmasters101.net and speak2connect.com. These are excellent websites, and I agree with most of what they say. But there's so many aspects about Toastmasters evaluation, so I don't agree with them 100%, but you may agree with one of them. Shall I give you time to write it all down? Just give you a little bit of time.
Take a picture.
Oh, okay, take a picture. Yeah, that's better, right? I'm so third world pa rin. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now here we go. Let's go to the next point. And this is again a discussion. When you have been asked to evaluate, what are you looking for? What are you listening for when you evaluate? Okay, write down in the chat when you've been asked to evaluate, what are you looking for? What are you listening for in particular? Let's hear what you've got to think of. Oh, style of delivery, yes. Okay, the content of the speech, okay. DOC or COD, Okay, delivery, organization, content. Victor says something specific that I can suggest. So you're looking for something specific to suggest as an improvement. Yes. Strengths and something to grow on by Raju. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Let's go to the next slide. In my case, I look for 4 things in particular, and I would suggest this is what you focus on. Good evaluators look and listen for, let's go to the next slide. 1, project objectives. I focus on the project objectives with one question in mind, where the project objectives met. That's the very first thing I ask myself, where the project objectives met. Then I listen and pay attention to see what is the speaker's purpose. I try to sense what is the speaker's specific purpose, general purpose. And this is from the handouts that were given to you to read earlier. Is the speaker trying to inform me, trying to persuade me, trying to entertain me, trying to inspire me? Usually most speeches are a combination of 2, sometimes even 3. What is the number 1, the overriding one? Which one of those 4? Then I also try to formulate their message. Can I write down their message, encapsulate their message in 1 sentence? If I can't, then malabo yung speech nila. You understand? I ask myself, what are they trying to do? And what is their message, and did they succeed? I pay attention to also how they organize their material. So how do the ideas flow when it comes to the organization, and how well they organize their material, and what material did they use, their choice of material. So speech organization is not just the flow of ideas, but also the choice of material and the arrangement. And finally, the last part, I pay attention to the body language, the vocal variety, the language, the presentation. So the last part is what most novice evaluators notice immediately: body language, vocal variety, etc. Right? But as you grow as an evaluator, strive to expand your ability to analyze, your ability to observe, and see all the other rest of the stuff. It's easy to observe the body language, vocal variety, etc. Okay? But here it's a struggle now to continue to expand. But experience and practice will allow you to see those 4. All right, let's go to the next slide. Good evaluators develop an evaluation vocabulary. Have you noticed there are certain evaluators that will say, I like, I love, and they stick to it. And their endings, their conclusions are always, I look forward to your next speech. You're not growing. If you find yourself repeating the same thing over and over again, saying the same words, it's an indication that you're in a rut. You're not moving forward. Your speech, you should not be using cliches. If you find yourself using cliches, start paying attention. You're not using, you're stuck in a rut. You need to move. You need to use different words. Okay, so here we go. And the last word is always congratulations. Yeah, and also end with congratulations. Yes, meron handout. It's at the top of the chat. Okay. I look forward to your next speech. Yay, as if you will be there again. That's Nelson. Very good, Nelson. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here are other distinguished Toastmaster G. Europa. No, that's the back slide. Distinguished Toastmaster G. Europa actually hates the word very. She says, don't ever use the word very because it's not helpful. Try to drop the word very. That's her, how shall I say, boogaboo word. This comes from my mentor, Tony Lim, on magical words. There's reversals. Meaning to say, bawi, you take back what you said. I have heard evaluators say, the vocal variety in your speech was good, but you need to pause some more. Sandali lang. You just said it was all good, but, right? So watch out. Try not to say but, though, although, and however. In Tommy's advice is, instead of saying those words, use and. I found your vocal variety excellent, and it can still further be improved by pausing at the correct interval. Does that sound better? And of course, cut out regrets at all costs. You should have, you could have, you might have, you failed to. But for me, the most unmagical of all the words is this one, the next slide. Just. I absolutely hate this word in an evaluation. Just a little improvement. Just maybe in an effort to make yourself a little more sympathetic and maybe less abrasive in your evaluation, you minimize, you diminutize your suggestions for improvement. You make it appear smaller and less obtrusive and less abrasive. That's not the point. When you're making a suggestion for improvement, you're supposed to sell it. You do not minimize it. You do not diminish your suggestion for improvement. You do not lessen your impact at all. So I suggest you stay away from the word just and maybe and just a little, but rather sell it. And you will find out later when I talk about formatting and the organization of your evaluation speech, how you can sell this and avoid using the word just, because what you're supposed to do is sell your suggestions for improvement and how the speaker can become a better speaker. All right, let's go to the next evaluation. Please ask questions if you need or need me to slow down, okay? Next, good evaluators develop a personal, efficient note-taking system. As you're listening to the speaker, you need to record. Unless you have the most perfect form of memory, wonderful for you, I'm very happy for you. Most of us have really lousy memories. Mine is just simply getting worse. And so as a counter effect of that is I have developed a note-taking system. So let me show you a few examples of some suggested note-taking formats. All right, let's go to the next slide. Here is one that I found in one of the evaluation websites, and they say, C or R is commend or recommend, highlights, anecdotes, illustrations, expand. And then on the left side, you've got beginning, ending, message, purpose, voice control, confidence. I don't like this. What happens here is that I end up spending more time looking for which proper box to put it in. So I don't really like this. But if you're the kind that can think and use this and you like this, then go ahead. But this is not for me. Next example is similar. Let's go to okay, so this one, they've been able to actually separate it into strengths and recommendations. So you can find the columns more easily. So when you're talking about the strengths, you focus only on the first column. Then, and when you're talking about recommendations, only on the right column. I like, this is okay. Still, I have the problem of finding which box to put it in. But if this is your type, go ahead. Next, here's another example. This one comes from D. Lugan, the 6minutes.dlugan.com. And he's further divided it into content. So I felt, I saw, I heard, which is pretty good. I still have to find the right box. I don't like finding right boxes. But if you like this, go ahead. Here's another one that was distributed by Distinguished Toastmaster Katrina during her term. And you will see the left is content, delivery, project objectives, and then strengths and recommendations. So just less boxes to look for. Okay. I don't like boxes, period. In my case, I'm a linear thinker. And so I just write it all down in one line. I just go down the line like this. All right. So,
I don't like boxes either.
Okay, so I just write it down in one linear. I'm a linear thinker and I write it down like that in one line. Now, how to find which one's the strength, which one's is the recommendation? I use a series of arrows, asterisks, and circles, and squares, and boxes. I use those things. So an arrow tells me, for example, I actually do not think of recommendations yet as I'm listening to the speaker. I note it down as a form of a fault. Okay, eats own words, eats the last word at the sentence. I add that. And then by putting an arrow on it, it's an indication to me that I need, if I want to use this as a strength to grow on, it's an indication that I need to reword this into a suggestion for improvement. All right. Strengths are in asterisks, etc., etc. Quotation marks, of course, tell me these are the speaker's own words. So develop your own system. I cannot tell you how to do it. You will need to develop your own system, and it comes with time and it comes with effort. Okay, Rose says she uses highlighters. I still have to switch between the two pens, and I find myself throwing the pens at the wall in frustration. But if that's your type, wonderful. Nelson says he used smileys and frowns. Well done. So you develop your own note-taking system and stick to it consistently. That's the point I wish to make. Okay. So use your own style. Raju is actually, I think, Raju, what's your specialty now? Mind mapping, right? So
Yes.
Raju teaches mind mapping. And so if you are an experienced mind mapper, you can also write out a speech and write out an evaluation using the mind mapping method. Contact Raju if you want to learn how to mind map. He's a trained and licensed mind mapping teacher. All right, let's go next slide. Okay, good evaluators use the sandwich format. Why? Why am I pushing this sandwich format? Because it is psychologically the best format. Okay, let's go to the next. So here are some evaluation formats. Now you will hear this as you go club hopping and you go from speaker to one point. The sandwich style has many names. There's commend, recommend, and commend. There's the kiss, kick, kiss, the KKK. The praise, improve, and praise, which is PIP, and there's a pop, and there's the BMB. Whatever, they're all the sandwich the sandwich method or the sandwich style, which is we begin always with praise. Smooch, sock, smooch. SSS, well done there, Nelson. Nice one. Okay. Okay, good question there for Miggy. Let me answer that later. Let me focus first here. Please remind me, Miggy, about that question. It is a point. Okay, so sandwich style can be known by so many things, but it usually begins with the strengths and then suggestions for improvement and finally a motivational statement to end. Okay, next slide. But there are other formats. There are other formats which other people use. Next slide. And this is, some people focus on content and delivery, or if the speech is particularly long and in nitty-gritty chronological order. If there has been a theme in the meeting, you can actually also have a theme-based evaluation. And there's also the acronym-based evaluation. These are specialties. These are not formats that you must strive to achieve for each and every time. Oh dear, my God. These are, for example, if it turns out that a speaker delivered a speech and using an acronym, and by serendipity it fits into your evaluation, go ahead, use it. But it should not be the end all and be all in which each and every one of your evaluations has to have an acronym. Why? An acronym requires that you fit the points you're going to make into the 4 or 5 letters you're going to choose, right? You're going to struggle more and spend more analytical time into fitting it, okay, rather than analyzing and thinking about what this particular speaker needs more. You'll be spending focus somewhere else and not on where you must focus on. That's one. Second, by trying to fit it, the acronym, you are likely to drop the one that might help the speaker the most in an effort to fit into those letters of the acronym. So only if the acronym fits and it just falls into your lap easily, go ahead. But I would suggest don't struggle. Do not make the effort to deliver every single evaluation and acronym. It's just too much time wasting. Okay? Your fallback is always the sandwich. Stick to the sandwich at all costs. Okay. Now, I have a suggestion, and this is what I call my expanded sandwich. Let's go. And this helps actually with the content, but it helps also as well with you as an evaluation. So you will see the second point is strengths. and you will see improvements, and the motivate is the conclusion. Those are the sandwich, the three elements of the sandwich: the bread, strengths, the meat, improvements, and the motivate is the bottom bread. But added two things. Your first statement should always be a personal connection with the speaker. Find something. Find a personal, no, backslide please, don't move forward. Okay, find a connection with that speaker. Anything, whether you agree with the topic wholeheartedly, but don't stick to it, right? Don't dwell too long on that, or that the person is a personal friend, or that you met before, or that you really like, or something. But make it what you do is you create a rapport, you create a personal connection with the speaker. And summary cell is the point wherein you're going to push your improvements. You're going to summarize the points, the strengths, and then your points, and sell your suggestions for improvement, and show how the speaker can be improved, will improve himself if he applies your suggestion for improvement. Sell. So don't belittle, don't minimize your suggestions for improvements, sell it. Sell it in a sympathetic manner, of course. No? That's another thing we have to learn how to do. But that's entirely your personality. Now, we used to have a member in our club. He died a long time ago. His name was Mario Garolini. Raju remembers him. Raju, do you remember how Mario would deliver the most scathing, painful evaluations? His evaluations were painful. He made no effort at being a nice man. If he thought that your speech was horrible, he said so. Yes, Raj?
He would end and begin with, "I hope we'll still be friends."
Exactly. Because he
would begin and end with, "I hope we'll still be friends."
Correct. I hope he would always, actually in particular, end, "I hope we're still friends." Because he knew his speech, his evaluations were rough. Okay, but so you can learn. If it's, for example, in a club and you're all friends, you can get away with delivering rough evaluations. But if you're a visiting Toastmaster, as what Mark and Rada said, you cannot be rough. Unless it's your personality. Again, a lot of evaluation depends on your personality as well. If you have a thick skin, yes. Next. Are we okay here? You understand the points I'm making here? I think so. You're all smart. Let's go to the next slide. Evaluators ask for feedback and not just rely on the GE's points. Some GEs are hit or miss anyway, right? Some GEs don't quite get it. And so you don't take what the GE says for gospel truth. You take only what is useful to you from the GE. So get feedback from others. Ask for it. Ask from members. Yeah, who GE is the GE? Nelson said, yes, we can GE the GE. Ask another member to GE, especially if it's a guest GE. So you want to get feedback from other members. Yes, Peter?
I'm a bit reluctant to do this because it might sound like I'm fishing for a compliment.
Oh, okay, yeah, yes, that is an aspect of it. Maybe I would just like to say, I'd like to get feedback from you, and I'm more interested in what you saw wrong rather than in what you so yeah, you could probably word it in such a way.
Yeah.
It depends. That's a good point though, Victor. Yeah. Okay, next. And I would actually say I'm not looking for compliments. I want to hear where I can improve. There you go, Nelson. You know I'm not asking for compliments, but okay. Next slide, please. And from among those people whom you receive comments from, choose the one you trust to be your mentor. Get a mentor. Get a mentor, because this mentor will be your second set of eyes, constantly to point out which directions you should take for your improvement. Get someone to help you mentor evaluate. If you're serious about becoming a really good evaluator, get a mentor. And get a mentor who is not afraid to yell and scream at you if you are backsliding. Tommy is my mentor. he would scream at me and get really royally pissed off whenever I went backsliding. He would get really mad and scold me terribly. Next. Last, good evaluators discuss evaluation with other Toastmasters. And this is a new revelation on my part. We formed a chat group on Facebook when we were coaching Doreen when she competed 2 years ago as in the evaluation contest. So we were a support group. We were her mentors and we were her tormentors. But we have never stopped chatting. Nelson's one of them. We have never stopped chatting. We continue to chat still and discuss Toastmasters evaluation in that group. And I have learned so much from you, Nelson. I have learned also from Jeff. I have learned from Doreen, and I've learned from Leah. So this was the coaching team of Doreen, but we have become a sounding board against each other. And I have learned so much by hearing the opinions of others. And I have, so it has just deepened and widened my knowledge and understanding of what evaluation is all about. Okay. There you go. Nelson says he learned from DTM, Gina, and Jeeves too. So we were just bouncing ideas off each other and getting insights from each other. So create your own chat groups to discuss and fight and scream and rave and rant. But the point is you're learning. Okay, so Victor's thinking now, yes. Invite a group and start chatting about it because, wow, the expansion of your knowledge and understanding grows. I think Miggy says thank you for being one of his mentors. I'm not the only one. Miggy had a stable of mentors, yes, not just one. So it depends on you also. Some people just rely on one. Some people can get a whole stable. And my suggestion also is do what Miggy did when he competed last year, is that he took his mentors separately, not together in one group. Which it depends also again on your personality. If you like group talk and you love the dynamics of group chatting, fine. But if you have the energy and the strength to talk to different mentors individually, which is what Miggy did, because he and I always talk alone, just the two of us. So, but in any case, discuss evaluations and talk about it among fellow Toastmasters and your mentors. That's the point I'm going to make. Next. Last slide. No, not yet. We're nowhere near. Next slide, please. Okay, good evaluators also sense the person behind the speech. This is incredibly important also. You're not just listening to a speech. You're not just listening to the ideas. You're just not listening to the speech mechanics and everything. You're listening to a person. And by sensing the person who is delivering this speech will actually determine what kind of suggestions you will give them. If you sense that this person is scared out of his mind, but is struggling, and is struggling not only with getting the ideas forward, but is also struggling with the language, you're actually going to change. You're going to tailor fit your suggestions for improvement for this particular speaker. So you do sense who that person is and what their struggles are, and you're going to arrange it and change and how shall I say, choose your suggestions and choose your material for presenting in the evaluation. You sense who that person is. And I would really like to point out the next slide, which is something that I learned so much from another champion. His name is, he won in 2017. He takes evaluation on a spiritual level. This is amazing. He opened my eyes in his speech in one of his talks about evaluation, and oh my goodness, wow. And this is his point. The heart cradles the evaluation content, which is, you know, your material, and performance, your delivery. What cradles everything and holds everything is your heart, your love for fellow man, your sympathy, your understanding, and your care for your fellow Toastmaster. This is what cradles your evaluation. And this comes from June Urbina. It's one of the most amazing lines I picked up from him. And he gave me permission to use that. Oh, and he's delivering a talk at 9 o'clock next Saturday. It's hosted by Division B. Sign up, he's speaking. Oh, is it? Wait, let me check what time that is.
It is next week, yes.
At
next
9 o'clock, yes.
9 a.m.
Sign up for that one because it's the spiritual side of evaluation which June will give you. I'm not spiritual at all. I'm horrible. I'm into the mechanics, the nuts and bolts, but June opened my eyes to the spiritual side. Okay, I think that's it. Let's go to the next. Yes, we have exercise. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go. Okay, we are going to watch a speech now. And this is the closing exercise. I want you to listen to this speech, take notes and focus on in particular. I don't want you to give any feedback or don't take any notations about body language, about his voice, and nothing about delivery. I just want you to focus on 3 things, all right? Discern the organization of the speech. How did the ideas flow? Identify what his general purpose is. That's going to be easy. Okay. And formulate his specific purpose, meaning to say, what is his message? Encapsulate his message in 1 sentence. This is the struggle. This is one thing I want to ask you to do, okay? The speech is going to be the 2005 World Championship speech of Lance Miller. It's really easy to organize, so that's why I chose it. It's very well organized. Not a single word in this speech is out of place. There's not a single superfluous word in this speech out. So pay attention first. Look at the organization. Determine his general purpose. Is it to inspire? Is it to persuade? Is it to entertain? Is it to inform? And finally, what is his specific message or his message? Yeah, specific purpose or message in 1 sentence. Let's go. Let's watch.
Speaker number 8, Lance Miller. The ultimate question. Lance Miller.
One moment, it's thinking.
Thank you.
The ultimate question. That question that has plagued man since the dawn of time. And that question that each and every one of us must ask at some point in our life. Do you validate? Mr. Chairman, fellow Toastmasters and friends, I was 26 years old. I was living in a small town in Indiana. I had a job I didn't like. I hadn't had a date in 3 years. And I had a couple of roommates named Mom and Dad. I felt like my life was going nowhere. So I took control. I left my home and my family, and I headed to Los Angeles to start over. 6 months later, I had a job I didn't like. I was dating a girl who was trying to make me better by pointing out all of my faults. And I had a couple of roommates that made Dumb and Dumber look like Einstein and Oppenheimer. I had changed everything in my life, but nothing had changed. I still felt like I was going nowhere. And then one day after a business meeting, all I wanted to do was get my parking validated. And I walked over to the receptionist and said, "Excuse me, do you validate?" And she looked up and said, "Well, yes, I do. You have a lovely smile." Showing her the ticket, I said, "No, I was just in a meeting with your boss. Do you validate?" And she said, well, let me compliment you on what a fine choice of business associates you have. Catching on, I said, you have such a keen sense of humor. I'm going to go tell your boss how lucky he is to have you out here. And she goes, give me that ticket. She took her little machine and she went, cha-chink. And then as she handed it back, she looked at me and she said, there's something special about you. I took the ticket and headed for the elevator. But I stopped. I turned around and just said, thank you. I don't know how long it had been since I'd felt validated. Her words stayed with me all the way home. And as I was looking at my life, I started to wonder how long it had been since I'd validated somebody else. I wanted to do that. I wanted to make people feel good. But I felt that I needed to be important. I needed to be successful, so that when I said something to somebody, it meant something to them. But that receptionist had just made my day. Heck, she made my month. With one little cha-chink, she stamped my ticket. And I thought, I can do that. So I went home to see Dumb and Dumber. These guys were constantly bringing people back to the apartment. It was driving me nuts. But I went in and I said, you make friends faster than anybody I've ever seen. And that is a gift. To see their faces, I swear they got smarter right before my eyes. Cha-chink. I went to see my girlfriend. And I thanked her for caring enough about me that she wanted to see me be as good as I could be. You know what? She got nicer. Cha-chink. I went to work and I thanked my boss for hiring me. He'd done me a favor. And I started to enjoy my work a lot more. Cha-chink. I used to think I had to be important before I could validate other people. I used to look at people as obstacles to my success. But what I discovered was I became important when I validated other people. I became important to that person. And that person. People were the pathway to my success. I started trying to find something I could stamp on everybody I met. That little piece of goodness, that little piece of rightness, just a little cha-chink. I started to feel like a superhero. Underneath this mild-mannered exterior was a blue and red spandex suit with a giant V on the chest. Yes, I was the validator. When things would get tense, they'd tighten up, I'd come in and cha-chink, cha-chink, cha-chink. I had plenty of ink. I'd hear people say, who was that man? I don't know, but I heard this cha-chink and suddenly I feel so much better now. And then I figured it out. You know what's wrong with the world? You know what's wrong with me? Do you know what's wrong with you? Who cares? The question is, what is right with the world? What is right with me? What is right with you? The common denominator of all humanity is the fact that we are human. We are by nature imperfect. It takes no special talent to find an imperfection in another person. But every person goes through life wanting to be right, wanting to be valuable. Find that. Bring it out in them. I started to discover in my life that I got what I validated. I found out that I brought out the goodness, the value in others by validating that. We have a lot of problems in this world, but I've learned that there is not a problem that exists between a parent and a child, between a husband and a wife, between a worker and his employer, or between races, cultures, or nations that does not stem directly from an inability or an unwillingness to validate the rightness, the value, and the goodness in another. This is the ultimate question. Do you validate? But this is not what's important. What's important is, can you, can you, can you, You've been a great audience. Thank you.
Wasn't that amazing? Okay. There were some very revelations there as he was speaking. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Oh, enough now. Enough chismes, Raju. Let's go. Okay, in the chat box, let's answer the questions. The next slide, please.
A moment.
Is it problematic to go into the next slide?
It's not. It's not.
I've never used this Canva. Oh, okay. Oops, that's back. There. Okay. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the general purpose of the speech. What was the general purpose of the speech? What do you think? Let's go to the chat. What do you think is the general purpose? Maybe said inspire. It's not DTM, the kind of great speech to motivate. Okay, no, just between okay, motivate is one, yes, but there's only 4 general purposes. In Toastmasters, we have 4 general purposes. This is inform, entertain, inspire, or persuade. Which one? Inspirational. Okay, does anybody disagree? Okay, why, Beng, why do you say persuade? Victor, you're going ahead. That's not a question yet. We're talking about the general purpose lang muna.
Yeah. I'd say
Okay.
persuade because he's asking us to live at a higher level of validating others instead of being just criticizing all the time.
Okay, so all right. If you read the okay, yes, to persuade us to live and change our ways, because persuasion is to change your attitude or behavior. That is the goal of a persuasive speech. So yeah, you can probably arguably say that this was also a persuasive speech to change our attitudes. Good point there, Beng. The second one is, but it's also to inspire. It's correct also because inspirational is to achieve noble goals or ideals, to reach for higher potential, and it's usually emotional and it's good for commencement. So Beng is correct in saying that it is persuasive. Everybody is also correct in saying that it is, an inspirational speech because it persuades us to achieve noble goals and fun. But is there an element also of entertainment? Yes, there was, because he got us to laugh a lot, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, when we talk about specific purposes and general purposes, how many of you are aware of that the pathways has changed? Level 1 has changed.
Yes.
And they've changed their projects and they've moved the researcher topic into an elective for level 3. And they've added 2 things in the level 1 for all those who have joined and bought new paths starting, I think, October 27. They've changed the projects, and one of them is this: determining the purpose, getting to the point. So if you really want to know a little bit more about specifics about general purpose and specific purpose, I suggest you read chapter 3 from the Competent Communication Manual. This was sent to you all earlier as a pre-reading thing. All right. And Raju says that this was the speech number 10 in the Competent Communication Personified. Okay. So now So now we were able to determine the general purpose, which was equal amounts of persuasion, equal amounts of inspiration with an element of entertainment thrown in. Now, what is the specific purpose or Lance Miller's message? What arrived at your, anong dating niya? What arrived in your head? What was his specific message? Let's go to the chat again. I think some people already went ahead and delivered and said something. Victor said we should remember to validate others.
Yeah, what struck me was he said it was so easy to find fault in others.
That's one, yeah.
Yeah.
But what is the main message? Is number one, find the good in every situation or find the good in every person. Yes. See the good in other people and validate them. Miwa, perfect. Yes, that's the way to do it. So that was his message. When you're evaluating somebody, the reason why I insist on you trying to identify the general and the specific purpose is because this determines now, gives you material with what to talk about. For example, if you are incapable of writing down the specific message in one sentence, that tells you that the speaker was not as effective as he should have been in getting his message across. Then you ask yourself why, how, what happened? What happened? What was in the organization that was missing? What material was missing in order to complete and bring home that message, okay? So inspire people to make them feel appreciated and valued. You got it, okay? So that is a specific purpose. If you're able to write it down in one sentence, then the speaker has succeeded, basically. Not only probably in meeting the project objectives, but the main purpose for opening your mouth in front of a group is to get that message home, right? And so if you're incapable of determining the specific purpose, then the speaker has not succeeded. Now, Miggy, you had a question earlier. When you're evaluating a speech in a contest in which there are no project objectives, what should you base it on? For me, I base it on general and specific purpose. It gives you the what do you call this, the root with which to hang on to when you're delivering, the base from which you're going to evaluate from in a speech contest. Because there are no project objectives for the contest. So if you use purpose as your base, as your anchor, it will give you material with which to evaluate. Okay, can repeat, the dog drowned you out. All right. In a speech contest, the evaluation speech contest, there are no project objectives with which to hang your evaluation on. You will hang it on to the general and specific purpose. By indicating the general purpose, whether they succeeded or not, it gives you material. But most importantly, if you are able to refer to the specific purpose, and if you're able to identify the specific purpose and tell a speaker how they succeeded or did not succeed in getting their message across, this gives you material and a focus for analysis of their material for your evaluation. Okay. No, Jean Tang, good night, Jean Tang, thank you very much. So is that clear? I find that purpose, the specific and general purpose, gives me an anchor. It's not just for the contest. It gives me a solid anchor with which to base my evaluation. I always ask myself, what is the speaker trying to tell me, and did he or she succeed? And what did the speaker do well to get that message across, and where did the speaker not do too well in order to get that message across? All right, let's go to the last point of discussion. Good night, Gina. That's not me. How was the speech organized? How did you begin? What was the first line? Can you say it out loud? What was his first line? What did he say? Nobody remembers? The first line was, The ultimate question. There you go, Nelson got it. The ultimate question. That question that has plagued mankind since the dawn of the, I gotta memorize the speech. Since the dawn of time. Do you validate? In those 3 lines, he very succinctly got his message across, introduced the topic, caught our attention, and told us what he was going to talk about. What that was the best opening line. Something. Agree? Okay, so what was the first scenario? It was funny too with the flashing of the ticket. Yes, it was, and quite distracting because he lightened it. Validate a ticket or validate another something else. I mean, you know, ultimate question, heavy. You know, he lightened it by flashing the validating ticket. So, what was the first scenario? Can somebody talk about the first scenario? He was how old? Nobody remembers the scenario?
The scenario, he was at the reception asking for
no. After he said, do you validate? What was the initial scenario? He was living with his parents, yes. He was 26. He was living with his parents. He didn't have a girlfriend and he didn't have a job, right? Then continue with the scenario. He wanted to change it. And he found himself in the same situation pa rin, basically, right? Yes. He did have a job, but he had a girlfriend, but he had a job, but so it was still, he was still in a rut. Tama? Okay, then what happened?
He had his ticket validated.
Yes, he had his ticket validated. And what did he learn? He learned something when he had his ticket validated, right? And that was? And what did he introduce? What did he introduce? What mnemonic device did he introduce when he learned, when he had his ticket? Yeah, cha-ching. And from that point on, he used it, right? Did you notice? From that point on, he used it when he changed things. Like he went back to his roommates, and I swear they got smarter right before my eyes. Cha-chink, cha-chink. He told his girlfriend he appreciated her efforts. Cha-chink.
Oh my God, adi ngay Clorox nga pang decolor, di ba napula aday? Najilat ta.
Okay. Then lastly, he went back to his boss, appreciated his boss. Cha-chink. Okay, so what was interesting was that he showed a change in attitude and showed an opening, you know, opened his eyes, and he introduced it. And he used a mnemonic device now to emphasize the point that things were better. And then he went crazy. The validator, tama? And finally, he got serious. Do you want to read? Do I have it? I actually have his speech word for word. No, I don't have it open. He said something like, this is the problem of nations, races, and groups, etc., and organizations. The unwillingness or the inability to validate, to see the goodness in others. And then he finally ended. Do you remember his last line? His very last line. No, not who cares. That one was a real unknown. What? Huh? Do you know what's wrong with everybody? Who cares? Right? That was between husband and wife. No. Angelo got it right. Can you, the final point was that he actually got the audience to also participate. Can you, cha-ching? Can you? He had to repeat it 3 times before the slow audience got it. So you can see. Can anybody make any comment about the organization of his speech? Any evaluation statements?
I think there were some parts of the speech where he could have lowered his pitch a little bit.
Yes.
Like it was just high pitched throughout.
Correct. It was frenetically high. Yeah. Correct. Where do you think, Victor? Where do you think he could have
Oh, well, when he went back to California, you know, like when he was feeling a little bit depressed, it just put that emotion across a little bit better.
Yeah, slow down a little bit and wallowed in the misery a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good point. Anybody else? Anybody else would like to say anything? No speech is perfect, so even one as perfectly written as the one of Lance Miller, there's still some material. Anybody else want to say anything?
I think he gave a lot of. This is Miggy, by the way.
Yes,
I think he gave a lot. He gave a lot of differing conflicts, and I think he could have used one conflict so that it can center on the struggle, and then he would have ended more powerfully with the cha-chink validation instead. So if it were stabilized, I think it would be a lot more resounding from my perspective.
Okay, so you maybe just the parents and the roommates or the girlfriend or the
yes,
job.
There were a lot of setbacks that he faced. He could have chosen one from those and then delve deeper or more deeply into those.
That's a point. Yeah, that is a point. If he wanted to expand the issue, but he very, very quickly ran through it. Yeah, I mean, he used one sentence or two. So there was also I think he will use those three because of the power of three.
Correct.
Which really emphasized and brought home the point. So it's, again, here is a matter of opinion. So Miggy thinks he should have just used one and really expanded it and dwelt on it, or there's the possibility of the power of three. So again, remember, this is not a science, this is an art when you're delivering a speech. So it depends also on you as an evaluator whether your choices are, whether you like it or not. Yeah, good point, yes. Now, let's see, what Nelson had a point to make. Nitpick, he assumed we all knew who Oppenheimer was. Yeah, that's true. But I guess, the helpful thing here was that we all know who Einstein is, so we assume Oppenheimer was also another genius. Yeah. Good point. Who else wants to nitpick? There was a point actually in which he forgot. It's just that you don't see it here because the visuals were delayed. What you heard was the speech. There was a lot of visuals. There was a point in which he got slightly lost, actually. We picked it up and we were going, oh my God, when we heard it. But yeah, there was a point. He did not deliver a perfect one. The speech is well written, but the delivery had a little hitch there. Okay. But he still won. Any points still? Are we all overwhelmed by that speech? It was overwhelming.
It was pretty good, yeah.
It was. Do you know that we were there, Raju and I were in that room. And my feeling was that as soon as he had finished, we knew who had won. It was just overwhelming. It was just amazing. We knew who had won. Okay. Last, I would like to end today. We're not going to dwell too long. Last slide. And this is, I'd like you all to realize this. Excellence is a moving target. You want to be an excellent evaluator? Remember, you're only as good as your last evaluation. So always strive for the best each time. It's a great struggle. It's lots of work. It's lots of effort. But if you keep working at it, it just gets easier. Okay, Nelson had a question. Oh, yes, let's answer questions now. What do you think of the pathways formula? You excelled at, you may want to challenge yourself. Okay, to challenge yourself, that's the little problem here because you may want to already smacks of how to improve, right? And to challenge yourself. So I don't know how you all approach it, but my approach is you excelled at is this. I tell them what they did well. You may want to is one or two suggestions for improvement, but to challenge is I reserve the most difficult one to do, and the one that is likely to make the speaker improve the speaker most is in the to challenge yourself. That's how I approach this thing. Would anybody else have a different way of approaching it? Let's share and learn from each other. how do you approach the evaluation form? Tell us how you approach it.
I just follow the pathways one. You excel that, you might want to challenge yourself. But I find it's okay.
You find it's okay. Feedback from anybody else? Miggy, would you like to give us a feedback on how you approach it?
Actually, same thing. When I would write my evaluations on paper and deliver it, I would use commendations and recommendations. But when I would write it down on the manual itself, I would focus on, for example, where he or she excelled at. That would be the strengths, and then for the you may want to work on, and you may challenge yourself. I mesh them into just one. The challenge where you may want to challenge yourself would be like the extra bonus, the bonus where the speaker can further sharpen certain skills or knowledge on a certain thing to do. So I mesh them into one.
Okay, so more or less, yeah.
Yeah, mine is just a matter of degree. Like you may want to. It's just how to improve, and the challenge is how you can be really good.
Yeah. And Nelson, any points that you want to make?
No, I stick to the classic sandwich formula.
No, this is the format. The evaluation format, the written evaluation format.
Okay. What I would do then, I do similar to what Miggy said. I take the toughest of the recommendation and reserve it in the third part, which is to challenge yourself.
Anybody else want to add to this?
Can I add something?
Yes.
I actually find the third page to be quite important. You know, where you put the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The numbers, yes.
Yeah, I make sure that I use that.
Me too. I do that. I always, when I deliver some more talks about evaluation, I always say never go beyond 3 unless the speaker's really, really good.
Absolutely. I have lots of 2s and 3s.
I never
rarely
give
do
beyond
a 5.
3. Correct. Very rarely should you give a 5. Don't be generous. Be stingy. Be really, really stingy, because if you're going to give an icebreaker, someone who delivered their icebreaker a 5, they're going to say, I'm good already. Why should I continue? I'm good now, exactly. Right? Give an icebreaker once, all the way down, 1. Yeah. Make them strive, make them work hard. Don't give it to them.
If somebody gives me, I get an evaluation where I get all 5s, and I feel like you didn't do your job.
Exactly. Yeah. Miggy, what? Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Can you elaborate it on the technique part? In the technique part.
The technique part
evaluation
for what?
sheet. Evaluation.
Oh, the evaluation.
Okay. Yeah, the one category is technique.
Okay, we're talking category technique. Okay, the first page will have you excel that, right? And that's where we put in what the speaker did well in his speeches. And then the second one is you may want to, which is a suggestion for an action, perhaps, that the speaker can do. And finally, the to challenge you is something that a speaker can also do or
aspire to.
Aspire to, motivate to, work for, is to continue their improvement. Then we moved on to the last page, which is where you put the numbers, depending on certain criteria of the evaluation. Our agreement here is that we rarely give beyond a 3. Because 4 and 5 are very, very, very high achievements already. And if we make it a habit of giving speakers 4s and 5s, then gives them nothing to work for.
Yeah.
So give only 1s to 3s as a regular run. 4 and 5 is very rarely awarded. This motivates people. This will inspire them, and point it out to the speaker. I only gave you a 3 because I think you can do better. Yeah. And let's see what else. Oh, and to the right side of that, there's a column where you can continually add some more.
Yes, more
feedback,
comments.
right? So work on it. Try to fill it up. The point here is to communicate with the speaker each time. And when you fill up that form, you give them a record with which to refer to. So make sure that you always submit a written evaluation. If you cannot access it, ask the speaker to provide it for you when you're evaluating, because the written evaluation is extremely important, especially, for example, for the second project in level 2, which I don't know what project it is going to be now in the new level 2. The level 1 pala, sorry.
It's still called the same thing.
Are there any other questions? Yeah. Okay. Have there been any questions that have been submitted?
None so far.
Oh, none so far.
If I could just answer the question, one of the things, Gina, that you mentioned.
Yes, yes.
In terms of the evaluation in the pathways, if you're a member of the club that the speaker actually delivered the speech to, there's that function in pathways where we can actually give evaluations. So even if you were not the evaluator, you can go into pathways and then give an evaluation and a badge to your club mate, depending on how you believe they did, if they deserve a badge, and you can give a comment. So this is actually one of those least used functions that we have in pathways. So hopefully you can also use that.
So I mean, I'm answering somebody. Okay, Direne, this is a good question. She asked a question. I joined last year and I'm currently on level 1. At next meeting, I'm going to do the second project, which is the evaluation, the third speech for the second project objective. Should I proceed and follow this, or shall I go into my fourth speech following the new level? No. The new formatting of level 1 only applies to those who joined after October 27. So just follow the path that is right in front of you as you open it, because that's what's going to happen to you. Just follow. Christine says, yes, I'm wearing my crochet t-shirt. No other questions about evaluation? Okay, I hope that today has given you lots of ammo with which to become better evaluators. Always, it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. And what's most important is that the desire in you to become a better evaluator should impel you and drive you forward. I see many members here who are constantly attending the training, and I commend you all because you are working hard to become better evaluators, and I commend you for that. Okay, so but I highly also recommend that you listen and go to the seminar, the workshop of, what's his name?
June Urbina.
Yes, June Urbina, which is next week, 9 o'clock in the morning. Go to the district and division B. It's hosted by division B. He is a completely different approach, and the more approaches you have, the better for you. I'm going, so I hope to see you all there. Good afternoon, and I turn over the proceedings to our area director, Toastmaster Virgil Garcia.
Thank you.
Oh, the registration link here. I will look for the registration link.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Gina. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
Thank you.
By the way, she was not doing this alone. On the background from Batangas to Baguio is my better half, distinguished Toastmaster Beng Garcia, who was navigating the slides. And to complement or add a little bit of garnish to the sandwich, let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster Beng Garcia.
Yes. So thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Gina. It's really a pleasure to always be able to have the opportunity to listen to you as you give us those tips for evaluation. And of course, when you are following the distinguished Toastmaster Gina Mapua, there is very little that is left to say. But as she said, let's try to be a little bit nitpicky so we can continue to grow and become better evaluators and better speakers. So tonight, this afternoon, I would really want to say that as I was working with distinguished Toastmaster Gina on these slides and also on the discussion with the evaluations, there were really a lot of things that were reminders to me, for a challenge for me to become a better evaluator as well. So another tip that we would give you next year, or maybe in the next 2022 or in the next Toastmaster year, we challenge somebody else to actually do the evaluation webinar so that you can also continue to grow along with our distinguished Toastmaster Gina. Now, just some things that for me also resonated in her message that I'd also want to emphasize would be, in terms of giving evaluations, it's always important. Distinguished Toastmaster Gina already mentioned it. She said, listen. She said, listen. And really listening to our speakers as they deliver their speech, no matter if they are beginning speakers or speakers who are like distinguished Toastmasters, like distinguished Toastmaster Raju, that very challenging to evaluate, but we need to listen. I remember these particular speeches that were delivered. One was a speech that was delivered here in Division G, and the speaker talked about how her father had died in an accident, how the death of her father actually really broke the members of the family, and she shared her heart to all of us. And we were aghast actually at the end of it all when the evaluator focused on the details, the technicalities of a speech. You should have had more gesture, you should have had more expression, and there was not even that sense of empathy that, hey, the Toastmaster was talking about her father passing away in a tragic accident. There was zero, none, no acknowledgement at all of this. So let's listen to the speech. And again, go back to that quote of June Urbina, the heart. Remember that it is the heart that cradles the evaluation that we're going to give. So listen, have empathy. And this one that I'm kind of playing around with in different clubs that have been inviting me for the last couple of months, be creative. We all are suffering from Zoom fatigue. We're no longer having that face-to-face. Hopefully, we will have blended or face-to-face meetings soon, very, very soon. But let's be creative. What have I been doing? I've been going out of the box and I've been using objects to help further along my evaluation. So for example, for distinguished Toastmaster Raju, I used a necklace to illustrate how powerfully precious his speech was when I evaluated him. For Toastmaster Rosie Wu of Angeles Toastmasters Club, I used a light that looked like the eye of Sauron and also another piece of jewelry. And for another meeting, I evaluated distinguished Toastmaster Donnie with a bottle of wine. And no, I was not drunk. No, I evaluated him with a bottle of wine and likened his speech to that. So why am I pushing the envelope into these ways of evaluating? Because it can help our evaluations also become memorable. Now, I do not recommend that you use these for contests. So in our rules, right, in terms of competitions, you're not really supposed to use props unless they are on your body when you're going to be delivering the speech. Now, since we're all at home, it would be a little bit like cheating if you're going to bring a bottle of wine, you're going to bring a lamp and stuff like that. So be careful. Let's be creative in our meetings, but let's draw the line when it comes to competition. Again,
what a lovely idea.
Yes, thank you.
Don't drink the wine.
No, don't drink the wine. I made sure that I had not finished the bottle when I evaluated distinguished Toastmaster Donnie. But let's push the envelope. Let's be creative. And again, listen and have empathy. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I now turn back control to our host, my better half, none other than distinguished Toastmaster Virgil Garcia.
Thank you, Beng. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Beng, for the spice to the sandwich. The sandwich method has already expanded, and now you put sauces in the sandwich. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give distinguished Toastmaster Beng a warm round of applause. Or click on the reaction button, give a heart, like, anything that you want to press on that reaction button. With that, thank you for the hearts, thank you for the club, and to my fellow co-host Zoom Masters, thank you also for co-hosting and helping out for the success of this webinar. Of course, without you participants, our very interactive participants, thank you all for sharing your time and learning. Are there any more questions? We'll allot 5 to 10 minutes. If you have more questions, you can unmute yourself or send it directly to the chat box, to our chat box. Any more questions? Especially to our new Toastmasters?
I have.
Go ahead, Miggy.
All right. Gina, PDG, Gina, can you share again with us what happens if we are going to evaluate a speaker who is either too good or if the speech is either too horrible? I think that would be a great chance for us to refresh ourselves in that matter.
I would find that a speaker that is incredibly horrible probably a bigger challenge than one who is very great, of almost perfect speech. It's a bigger challenge. I remember one particular speaker listening to one in my club, whom fortunately was not assigned to me to evaluate because I was brain dead that day and I had absolutely nothing but nasty things to say to that person. The speaker was assigned to Julia Holtz, who was a fantastic evaluator. And there was nothing to commend about this speech because the project objectives were not met. It was a garbled message. It was disorganized. It was delivered also not too great. It was weak delivery. But you see, Julia sensed what person was behind this speech. And she sensed that he was a frightened person. So Julia spent her whole evaluation time actually bolstering the person, bolstering the speaker's feelings, and congratulated him for coming forward, to having the strength and for having the bravery to come forward and sharing his ideas. So I was in an unkind mode that day, but Julia's heart won. And that's when I learned you have to listen with your heart. So if the speaker is really, really terrible, listen even more with your heart because you will sense why the speech is terrible. And sometimes it may be also because the speaker has been incredibly unprepared. But usually most speakers will refuse to speak if they are terribly unprepared. So this speaker must have felt he was prepared enough to speak. So listen with your heart for a speaker who is delivering below par speech. Now, if the speech is really wonderful, it's quite a challenge also to find something to grow on. But in this case, I would suggest that while we say nitpick, again, nitpicking is difficult to do if the speech is technically perfect already, like Lance Miller's, for example. Again, go for the feeling. Go and listen with your heart, and you will probably come up with with some valuable insight into this for this speaker to look into, as opposed to nitpicking, because nitpicking will probably be just being likely not going to be helpful. So go again and listen to the speaker who is delivering a wonderful speech and go into the heart. And you'll probably find something to say about how they can even get their message across even better. So always, again, listen with the heart if you're challenged by a terrible speech or challenged by a really, really good speech. Listen with the heart and the heart will tell you what to say.
All right. So if it's a horrible speech or a horrible, for lack of a better word, if it's a horrible speaker, you have to focus on the effort, the content, how he or she was able to come up with the message. And then for the great speaker, focus on the feeling, the arrangement of thoughts, or the organization, if I'm not mistaken.
And also as well as but when you focus on the organization and the content, the nitpicking, nitty-gritty, they probably have, the speech is probably perfect already when it comes to organization and content. So what you're going to do now is focus on the message and the purpose.
Okay. All right.
And the clarity of that purpose.
All right, got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was a challenging question too. Made me think.
Right.
Thank you for that question, Miggy. Any other question there? Mom, Christine.
Christine?
Hmm? None? What, me? No, I was just I think I was just thinking that as an evaluator, we should have the obligation to think that we have to facilitate, motivate, and counsel. Because some evaluators try to outdo the speaker, but I think we should bear that in mind, that we have a certain responsibility as well.
Thank you.
Facilitate, motivate, and counsel. Wonderful. Thank you, Christine. I love that.
Yeah.
FMC.
Yep.
Hello, Gina.
Right,
Hi.
Hi. Oh, hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Gina. Hello. I just have one question. I just have one question though. Okay. Is it okay if an evaluator outshines the speaker himself? Is it okay?
In what sense? The only
Yeah, go ahead, Gina. Go ahead.
I think the only way you should outshine a speaker is in motivating them to move forward. So pour your heart in outshining them. I think that's the only way an evaluator can outshine any speaker. It's with the heart. The sympathy, the empathy, and all the EQ that you can muster up inside you and pour it out. That's how you outshine the speaker. That's the only way to outshine the speaker.
You're on mute. Okay. You're on mute, Ate.
I'm sorry, it is still appropriate though, when you outshine them, motivating them, pour out all your empathy to them, and it's still appropriate.
Yes.
Okay,
because your purpose is to push them and to make them grow and feel good about themselves for making that effort.
Yes, because I have heard evaluators who kind of, add more of the speech, add more to the speech. Okay, and so the concept of the speech is lost. You should have done this. You should have said this.
Oh yeah, they basically rewrite the speech for you.
Yes, precisely. Yes, I mean, you could think you should have been a mentor or something to me, or I could have given you the speech beforehand, something like that.
If that's the case, you know what you do is you approach your evaluator and say, please help me with the next speech.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so it is appropriate. Okay, as you have said, always, Gina, savoir de affaire. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, I think we've reached the time limit.
Thank you for this wonderful workshop. I am from Hong Kong and really thrilled by listening to some new tips on how to at least handle the horrible speeches, which once for a while we do get. So
yes,
thank you so much. Yeah, and we need to be motivating. We need to make sure that the new person is not getting down and he has to be picked up together. That is how we learn and grow together. So
yes.
We need to find that little bit of whatever we can, the body language, the color of clothes, something to relate with and give him some appreciation so he can go further. Thank you so much, Gina. Thank you. It was lovely.
You're welcome.
And thank you for sharing the link also. Looking forward to be there.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, Victor's leaving now. All righty.
All right. So any more we have 2 minutes. 2 minutes for any last questions. Oh, yes, Maywa, President.
DTM Gina. If I'm not
If I'm not good in a certain area like the delivery, hand gesture, and face gesture, how do I evaluate someone on the same area?
Okay, Miwa. Okay, Miwa, you come across to be as a shy person, someone who is very reserved. And so in I think the way you deliver speeches is your personality comes out as a reserved person as well. So you cannot really say that you are not good at gestures and vocal delivery and everything. You are sticking true to who you are. Miwa is a reserved person. And now how you can how you can evaluate somebody and give them advice about how to deliver speeches, especially when it comes, for example, to gesture and everything. Ask yourself how this particular speaker is, what kind of personality this speaker is. Is this person as reserved as you? In which case you would advise them to make gestures and movements similar to yours. But if you see that the speaker is a little more shameless and more expressive and more open than more expressive than you, then you can advise them to give more expressions than you normally would. So don't characterize yourself as somebody who is not good. You are only delivering speeches and gesturing according to who you are, and I would never evaluate you to change who you are. So just adjust. You're not bad in evaluation. But so what you do is you adjust your suggestions to fit this particular person. A more expressive person can make bigger gestures. A more reserved person like you should naturally follow who they are and deliver, use gestures that reflect who you are, reflect your personality. So yeah, just adjust.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, President Miwa and distinguished Toastmaster Gina. One last question, anyone? Calling on once, twice, 3 times, a lady, no more. And with that, we are now closing the question and answer portion of this webinar. Before we go, may I request distinguished Toastmaster Gina to be highlighted for us to present her certificate of appreciation in behalf of Division G from our area. The certificate of appreciation is given to distinguished Toastmaster Gina Mapua in recognition of her outstanding support of Toastmasters International Communication and Leadership Program, given this 13th of November 2021. Signed by yours truly. Let's give her a warm round of applause. And please take a picture. Mom Rose. Okay. Smile. There you are. Okay, let's have photo ops or picture of excellence. Please open your video so we could have a class picture for today's session. There, Division G Club Growth Director Rose will take our picture. Just in the count of 3, please smile and hold that smile until our Zoom Master Rose tells us not to smile anymore.
Hold it. Hold it. Okay, I think I've gotten
2 pages.
everyone. Oh, 2 pages.
There's a question here from Joseph. Hi, PDG Gina. How do we evaluate and tell the speaker that she needs to repeat the project? What are the points to consider before we arrive to conclusion that he needs to repeat the project? The one reason that will make me suggest that the speaker repeat the project is when the project objectives have not been met. That's just the one and only criterion which you use when you decide whether to advise the speaker to repeat the project. And the repetition of the project is entirely an issue which is something that is understood in the club. If the club has the policy of requiring speakers that do not meet the project objectives to repeat their speeches, so the club has to agree on that and vote on it. As an evaluator, for example, I'm an outside evaluator and I come in, I cannot impose. I can suggest, but I cannot demand that they repeat the project. I can make the suggestion only. But if the club has the policy in which a speaker must repeat the project if the project objectives have not been met, then it is the vice president's education's job to make them repeat it. Also, remember our core values are integrity. The first one, integrity. If you feel that you did not do a good job the first time, your integrity will compel you to repeat that speech. It's really up to you. I hope I was able to answer your question. All right.
All right. No more last minute question. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you all for attending. As the area director of G1, may I call on our club growth director for Division G, immediate past area director Rose Pagia, for her closing remarks. Let's give her a warm round of applause or click the reaction button.
I open at the close. These words were engraved in the golden snitch, and it was a parting gift from Professor Dumbledore to Harry Potter. Also, it's a cool phrase that I've been wanting to quote, and this is a nice opportunity to share it with you. For the non-Harry Potter fans out there, it just means the end is just the beginning. So we have just concluded our evaluation workshop for today, and your journey to become a better speaker and evaluator begins now. The green light has been given to you, and whatever you decide on to work on first, do keep moving. After all, evaluations is what makes Toastmaster unique and different from other workshops and clubs. Again, thank you so much to our speaker, Distinguished Toastmaster Gina Mapua, Distinguished Toastmaster Beng Garcia, and to our organizer, Area G1 Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Virgil Garcia, and to all our role takers for tonight, thank you for taking on the job. For all the participants this afternoon, thank you for taking the time, spending your weekend afternoon and trying to learn more about your craft. Also, I would like to, oh yes, I thank the participants already. And yes, to end this close, the golden snitch is now in your hands. It would only work if you understood your role and choose to take it. So take it now and make that decision. Good afternoon, everyone, and back to you, Distinguished Toastmaster Virgil.
Thank you, Division G Immediate Past Area Director Rose Pagia, for the closing remarks. Remember, good evaluators are
good speakers.
Good speakers. Okay. With that, as your area director, I now close this webinar. Thank you for attending and hope you have learned or increased your knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Gina. Beng.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Gina.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Christine.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Gina.
Gina.
Thank you, Beng.
Next
Thank you,
meeting.
Thank you,
Gina.
everyone.
Thank
I
you,
hope to hear you
Gina.
all evaluate one day.
Thank you. Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yes.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Ka-ching.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Sir Virgil, end ko na yung meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
In our chat box.